Recording in
You get your water bottle? That was your water bottle in there? Yeah, that's your water bottle on the sink. Was that yours? Oh, you got it.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you?
Hey, how you doing over there?
Hello.
All right, thank you.
How are you?
You're waiting here to see hello, right? Did you say you filled the position? Oh, okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 p.m. on the dot, and I am pleased to welcome you to the Highland Park City Council in-person and virtual workshop meeting scheduled for today, which is Monday, July 1st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please be kind enough to call the roll?
Councilman Ashafi,
Here.
Councilwoman Martin, Councilwoman Manica,
Here.
Council Pro Tim Robinson,
Present.
Council President Thomas.
Here, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this workshop meeting was called based on request of members of council. The first item, the City of Highland Park Tax Exemption Ordinance, HPAC redevelopment, we're gonna pull that. CED Director is gonna get with us at another time to address that issue. But we have one item today, that is the residential lot at 82 Avalon, the Avalon Village Inc. This meeting was asked for by Mr. Al Shafi. He asked that this item be moved off the agenda and that we bring it into a workshop to have a discussion related to it. I cannot tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, what the reasons are for having this item brought back to us. It was just a matter of selling the property, but Mama Shu from Avalon Village is here. The CED director is here as well. And so I will turn the floor over to Director Clyburn and to Ms. Harris to answer any questions that members of City Council would have related to this item that was removed from the agenda and pushed into a workshop. So Mr. Clyburn, the floor is yours.
All right, good evening, council, clerk, audience. I'm here before the council to represent, this was an item that was under CED. So I'm here before you. I know at the last meeting, you had asked, Council Member Monica asked to take a look at the aerial and we weren't able to pull it up. So I did do an aerial view and mark some of the addresses. I'm not sure what the questions are.
Okay.
So I'm just here to, and you know, she's here, Mama Shu's here also to take the questions.
This is for, this is for the members. So the floor is basically open. This is dialogue for members.
So, I'm not sure what questions are, but I was trying to see where the property was actually located and what it was next to. That's what I was asking that for.
Right. So that's what I have for you there is, so 82 is the lot that's in question to be purchased. So what I showed on this aerial is 74, 78, 86, and 92, which are to the right and the left, and they're all owned by Avalon Village. So that's also in the real estate summary with the information that I shared with you.
So if I start from the first house on the corner, I'm looking at it here, I take it this is what.
Correct. And to the left is second.
So this house here where the cars are, is that the homework house?
Which one on the same side of the street?
Yes.
I'm gonna say yes, because the one on the corner next to Woodward, that's 24.
And then, so this is not the current area, so
Yes.
this would be,
Right, this is what comes up, you know, this is off the Wayne County parcel viewer. So they don't do it in real time.
so this here is on from the first house all the way to 86 or maybe to 78.
I'm not sure, because because so next to the right of 74 is a couple more houses.
Right, and there's no houses there. I'm correct. You have her house, this is Sarah's house. You have space.
You know what?
There's a lot of lots
No,
here.
you know what? I'm not sure if that is the first house on the corner. You know what I'm saying? They may have got it that's halfway in the block. So that house, that first house, I'm not, I just came from the backside because that's what you had questions about. So I'm not sure what's to the right of it, because that house that you mentioned with the cars on it, now that I look at it, that's not the homework house.
Let's just try for a second. So for a second.
So,
No, so second,
yeah,
It is
this
maybe
one,
3 or 4 blocks is where Second is. So it's way far from Woodward. It's all the way down to Second. It's
So
a
this-
couple of blocks before. And Avalon Village, I don't own the property, but Avalon Village, the nonprofit, owns the one, the property before the lot that we're talking about and everything to the corner.
So the purchase is for 82.
So, correct.
Right, next to 7478.
Yeah, so they're two separate, yeah, so 74.
So you already own
It's a flat,
78.
it's a flat, 7478, I think that's the address.
Ms. Manica, I was able to put the information on.
78,
Yep.
86, and 92.
It does not help, you know why it doesn't help? It's because it's hard, because what
You wanna,
I'm looking at the same thing you showing me
so
here.
I can get you,
wanted the
I can get
actual
you,
view.
I'll get you that. Give me just a second.
Okay. So 74 and 78,
Yes.
and then you want 82,
Yes,
86 and 92.
yes,
And when I say yours, I know.
Yes.
The other thing was, is it possible, and that's the unfortunate part, that we probably should have talked to you in Carlson before today and asked for, do you have an actual plan laid out for Avalon Street or for your vision? What is your actual business plan? What is it that you said, this is what I'm going to do, these are the things I'm going to put up, you know, this is what I'm going to build, or what I'm not going to do?
so usually, I do have plans for the village, every single thing that we've, been purchasing. However, I don't have a plan for a single lot. This is the first time that I've ever come for, just adjacent lot. I've never had to bring any type of, drawings or anything, not for a side lot. I have had to bring some things in for when we built our STEM lab. And so I had to come through the planning commission and had other meetings and stuff, but I've never had to, this is the first time that I've ever had to come for a side lot. So I'm just kind of surprised even being here that I do have to produce plans for a side lot. I didn't know that that was a requirement for myself as well as other people who have gotten side lots as well. So I don't even know really why I'm here. I don't, you know.
It is not a plan that's required for the side.
Okay,
It was just a plan required, and it's not required. I'm asking because I have not seen, maybe the council before us
mhm,
have seen it, but I know it would be beneficial if the council would be able to see what is the initial vision for Avalon Village, because it has been, it is almost the entire street. And so what is it going to be, are you ever gonna build any more houses, are you ever gonna put any more shipping containers on there? What was that actual vision? That's it. It had nothing to do with you either. It was not a requirement of the side.
So if you don't mind. So the reason, so when you're talking about residential and housing, that was gonna be second to Hamilton. The first block was gonna be taken advantage of for TOD. So the zoning of it allowed for all these different type activities to happen. So initially, that's how it started. So if you're talking about actual housing and residential housing, that would be further on.
and Ms. Manica, that is the goal. The goal is to continue to transform blight to beauty. The goal is to basically do my part as a citizen and help to uplift and to help to build housing. That is something that is coming down the pipes. And that is one of my wishes for our project here in Highland Park. I do have something that we did with U of D Mercy. We did a whole layout and I was in this program. I do have that. I was advised basically to just purchase land one at a time to just go ahead and continue my work as I've been doing for 16 years. And then also I have another project and I've talked to Mr. Clyburn about it and getting plans for another. So he said, wait and basically produce plans for this other project that is basically coming to fruition. And so, yeah, so that's how I've been doing, just purchasing the lots and creating what it is that, you know, we need for the community, basically. One of the things I would like to do for you guys to take advantage, to come to the village, and I can give you a tour of every single thing, and we can talk about what it is that our plans are. And you can actually see it for yourself. I'd be glad to give you a tour inside of the homework house. Some of you have already been in. The Councilman Kashid, he has been at the village plenty of times. Everybody has been there, but I want to come and I actually want to give you all a tour. So I'd be glad if y'all want to schedule that to be able to show you.
Let me just chime in here and say this much. Um, we don't know what we don't know. And it's not until you're exposed to the very layered process of real estate development that you understand how complex it is. It's not impossible, but there are so many layers of complexity that involve even building a house to get in city of Detroit. For infill housing, there is a process that is laborious. If you wanted to build a house starting today, it might take you 8 to 10 months to be able to go through the permitting process. What is the very first step for all of real estate development is to secure site control, either through ownership or through an agreement with a particular owner. And again, I said this to the citizens who are here and the ones who are at home. I don't know why we're here having this conversation with Ms. Harris in Avalon Village. In the 24 years that I've lived here, this is the most successful developer in the entire city. The redevelopment work that went into the homework house is no small feat. And there were a myriad of people who helped on that process. And there was a layered process. Much of the assistance came from the county because we didn't even have a building inspector when that process got started. So again, the challenge is we don't know what we don't know. And I would encourage the members of this council to try and find someone who they respect in the real estate development world and have a hard conversation with them about what this process looks like. It's unfair. I was just talking to someone in our quad, Ms. Manica, just this past week, who had attempted to purchase side lots in the previous administration. And this person had been caring for that property for about 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 summers of cutting the grass, 7 or 8 winters of cleaning out the trash, 7 or 8 years of maintaining the property. And if they only spent $2,000 or $3,000 a year, if they actually got the lot for $500, they would probably be close to $5,000 to $10,000 in on expenses. So we need to curb our enthusiasm sometime when we want to put the burden on our local population to do something that is not, I call it extraordinary, but we're asking them to do something that is not required in the larger city. This 2.9 square mile city is surrounded by a city of 143 square miles. The building department in the city of Detroit is something like 200 people. Planning and the community and economic development department is something like 70 people. And in that framework, they are able to move through this process laboriously, but they have hundreds of thousands of parcels and somehow they're able to make it work. Having conversations with the director and the CFO of the Detroit Land Bank, the goal is to try and get these properties in the hands of citizens, the custodial care persons in many cases, the people who have been taking care of them anyway, they have sweat equity in. And we're talking about poor people who may never, and poor organizations. Let us not forget that Avalon Village is a nonprofit in the city of Highland Park, which is the second poorest city in the state of Michigan, which puts it at a significant disadvantage. So when we start to have conversations about the disposition of side lots in particular, I think that should be factored into the consideration. I'll finish this one. When I was talking to that citizen, they priced privacy fence for their side lot, and they would have to go completely around the perimeter of their property, and it would abut up against the house that they lived in. And that estimate was something like $3,900 that they would have had to spend, close to $4,000. Now I'm sure that price has increased. So if a citizen buys a lot for $500 from the city of Highland Park that they've been caring for 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 years, and then we require them to spend another $4,000 or $5,000, what we're saying is we don't want the poor people who live here to have access because that makes it cost prohibitive. Or we're saying we don't want the nonprofits who have been here to have access. These are hard numbers. These are real facts. These are not things that I'm imagining. This is not my imagination. This is just the real facts. You want to go out and get an estimate for 3/4 of the length around any parcel in the city of Highland Park, you're looking at $3,000 plus on the DYI. More than that, it's going to be like $5,000. Your mileage may vary, but it's very easy to be able to get an estimate and have somebody tell you what it's going to cost. My little corner where I live at, galvanized fence, cost me $4,500 9 years ago. So I don't know what it costs now. And I got my receipts. So I just want to say that too, as we go through this process, in particular with side lots, what side lots represent for our citizens is an opportunity to increase the value of their home without having to take out a mortgage or a lien and put on a new roof, just by purchasing the side lot, that person has the additional benefit of the outside space. And anybody who has gotten a side lot has benefited from having that additional space around their property. That's my 2 cents. The floor is still open.
I'm gonna respond to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thomas.
Mhm.
And that is, I feel like that's a little bit out of context.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing to do with her getting a side lot. It has nothing to do with not wanting you to have a side lot.
I agree that it was out of context.
You don't want it?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
And so I totally understand, and several times it has been discussed, it has been mentioned, everything that you're telling us. You've mentioned it several times. So I think that I'm well aware of that. The issue here is, and a lot of times when I'm asking for things, is to help us not get to that point that we're voting for something and it gets turned away because we don't know, or we haven't seen, or what we've heard, or what is accurate or factual. So if we're all present here know that, how long she's been working on this project, of course she moved over there. And, or Ms. Harris moved over there, I apologize. But, and then the issue with the light that went up. So I'm into preventing things from happening by discussing them first, so that there's no problem later for the person who is purchasing or the person who is doing something. And so when I mentioned about this or building something, and I'm not asking her to build anything on this lot. I mean, I just couldn't picture where it was at when I asked for to see.
Right.
I thought it was actually somewhere else. So that's why I asked that question. And then I noticed, and I don't know if they still have their questions or not, some other council members had some questions that day as well, before we got ready to get started. So it was better just to have her come in a workshop and say, hey, this is my plan, because on a normal basis, if you have someone who purchased that much land in one area, there's a plan. And no, that plan might not be carried out to the T, because you might change. I know I don't want homework, have one, but you know, instead I'm gonna move the homework house here and put something else here. So those things can happen. I understand there are some changes in development, but we have not seen what was supposed to be there or not to know. And so, yes, sometimes things are brought up to my attention, not by necessarily citizens, by administration, by council. I'm just the only one here asking. And stop, and make them ask it, but I'm the only one trying to bring it and make it a point. So water bills on lots, property taxes on lots, all that becomes important. That is something that is important to the person purchasing it. Give you just a small example. There's a house on the lot, and try talking with the person. Well, now guess what? They don't have it. They didn't have the money to continue, and so now somebody else has it from a whole nother city. When if we had talked about it, maybe we could have helped that person keep their home, you know, or keep their property. So you feel like it's like a waste of time or being inconsiderate to the people trying to hurt. No, I think she does. I think it's a beautiful sight, you know. But I would like to see what's your initial vision for? You know, what's your initial vision? Because you spot it may be that because those are the ones you can get first. You know, we're not the same administration as prior. And we gotta stop working as if we are and working to try to correct everything we did. All we do is correct our process going forward so we won't get in those situations, you know? The solar light situation, I would like to see more solar. I would actually like to see a solar light, I call it a farm. But what is it called, Mr. Charles?
Solar farm.
It is solar farm, okay. You know what I mean? That might be something that, I'm not saying necessarily in that village, but as a whole, something that we can have here. So it's not, please don't ever think it's me not wanting something to come or someone in our community to have. So by all means, I want our community to have, but we also have to be responsible to what we're getting. And that goes across the board, so unfortunately, she was the person standing here, so it's not all directed at you, Ms. Harris.
Mhm.
It's just a statement about, we do have ordinance, we do have rules, we do have things that needs to be happening, and we're not doing it. Instead, we're skipping over those things, and we're just going forward. I'm gonna relinquish my time right now and give it to my council.
I'm just curious, you said we're skipping steps, like what was
I
skipped?
didn't say you were,
Okay.
but I'm saying as a whole, we are. And here's the other thing, this has nothing to do with Ms. Harris, but people come here, whether anybody wants to be honest about it, they come to Highland Park because they figure they don't have to pay the same thing they have to pay everywhere else, or do the same thing they have to do. I was told it was a house, oh, this house is being done for such, and then when I talked to the actual person who bought it, they tell me what I was told by somebody that works for the city, that should know, that what they gave me was wrong. So that means we're being presented with wrong facts. Or maybe the person just twisted, maybe they changed their mind. I can take it a wonderful job. Either way, there are rules, there are ordinances, there are things that we need to follow. And this, we don't have to give property to everybody who comes here, because they all, and that's what I'm saying.
And we don't,
You know, that's all I'm
you know,
saying.
we
though.
don't.
Because I know that some people who come before us, some property right now, that they should just be paying us. Because it's an eyesore to look at.
I guess what, you say we skipping steps, and I'm still unclear as to what does that mean? Like, that doesn't mean in this case, you mean.
I said it
Okay.
had nothing to do with Ms. Harris.
Right.
It didn't have anything to do with Ms. Harris. I've already stated what I needed, and what I was looking for. And I was just to see where it was,
Mhm.
and is it possible to see what your initial vision is for that entire street? That has nothing to do with you getting this
Mhm.
vote, or whatever the vote is on this property, or that one piece of lot. She has a perfect reason to ask, she's on both sides.
Right.
She's enclosed by, and if I could share something with you, Ms. Manica. So context is everything. City of Detroit, 143 square miles, Highland Park, 3 square miles. They have a side lot program, and I'm gonna do this in every meeting. Every single meeting that we have.
Just a second, let me interrupt you. It's not necessarily as deep, Mr. Thomas, a little bit, and I love the
Well-
information, because we need it, don't get me wrong.
We do.
But what I'm saying is this has nothing to do with anything else Detroit or anybody else is doing.
But it,
This has only to do with our ordinance, our charter, our things. And the problem is also that council has not, and if you wanna sit down, you can, Ms. Harris, unless
well,
they have, I don't wanna keep standing, because we're not
Yeah.
even talking.
I just want to
about
make
it
sure
right
that I answer any questions. Did any of the rest of the council people have any questions to ask me?
yeah, I mean, to Ms. Manica, what I wanted to do is, and it does matter, that we are small, we are not an island off to ourselves, nor are we special. And the truth of the matter is, our city is woefully dysfunctional. If we compared ourselves to Inkster, Ecorse, or any other city, that would be comparable. What I'm trying to do by doing this is show you that the city of Detroit is selling side lots for $100. Their only requirement is that you take custodial care of that property, and we are asking our citizens, the poorest citizens in the state.
now. We're calling us poor.
We are. It's just a fact.
But still, here's the
It's just the truth.
No,
No, but let me finish it. I will turn the floor back over to you. We're expecting the people who live in this city to do something extraordinary, as if they have greater capacity. That's like comparing us to Huntington Woods based on size. The financial demographic and the capacity of Huntington Woods is completely different than Highland Park. So they have capacity that we don't. So if we make a comparison based on size, it's an unfair comparison. If we don't make a comparison based on the city that we are enclosed in, we are surrounded 100% by the city of Detroit. They are a fully functioning municipality, and we are a dysfunctional municipality. Our procedures, our ordinances are outdated. Everybody, you and I both agree that we need to go in and change these ordinances. If we put an extraordinary burden on our citizens, then we'll never be able to overcome the situation that we're facing right now. That is the only thing that I wanted to make sure we put into conversation. We are the second poorest city in the state of Michigan. Our citizens do not have access to attorneys to do parcel rearrangement. To get your property surveyed is about $2,500.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna respond, but after we find out if there's any more questions from the family.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm on your side, Ms. Manica. I want you to know, we're working together.
No, we always disagree and disagree, but they just don't see. So anyway, go ahead, Ms. Harris, see if anybody else have any more.
Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Ashafi, the floor is yours.
Ms. Manica, real quick, if my memory serves me correctly, it was in fact you that asked that this item be moved to the workshop, and I seconded, did I not?
Yes.
Okay, because you know, at the start of the meeting, the council president said that I called for this meeting.
My
and I
error.
moved this item to the workshop.
My error.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to clarify that for the record. Ms. Harris, are you currently operating or doing anything on this particular piece of property?
Yes, I am. I am actually working on it right now. We put a new roof on there. We put all new windows, new doors.
No.
You mean
That's
82,
about
the
the
lot.
No.
You mean the
The
lot,
lot.
right?
Oh,
Not the lot.
82.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I've been taking care of it since 2008, that lot.
Okay,
Whether we owned it or not, we just still took care of the whole block. So I have been maintaining it.
okay.
Um,
Okay, the reason I asked that question is because on the other side of the street, you have a little garden farm growing on another city-owned lot. And you've been there about 8 years.
Which one of the parcels?
What are we doing with that particular lot?
It is still an active garden. We still have a lot of produce for the community growing in there right now. It also is preventing blight. One of the reasons why we just decided to basically maintain the whole block is because basically our motto is transforming blight to beauty. And whether we owned it or not, we still just went on ahead and cleaned it up. And so basically that's what we're doing. We're maintaining it for beauty. Yeah, that's really the only space that is blighted is the house, is the gray house. That is the house only. But other than that, we've been fixing up everything, even that property. Been trying to fix it up to where it looks presentable.
Okay. The reason I asked that question, you understand the city's liability. I mean, you're a long-term resident here. You've been here way before I got here. You'll be here long after I'm gone. I'm pretty sure of that. But my concern is that people are operating on city-owned property. Now, it's one thing to keep the grass cut, shovel the snow. Okay, that's fine. But you actually have a whole entity on the land and you're operating on the land. And if something happens to somebody specifically on that land, you're not liable, but the city of Highland Park is because it's our property in
You said
which
it
you're
was empty,
operating
right?
on.
I'm sorry?
You said it was empty. 82 is empty.
82 is empty.
Talking about a different
He's
lot.
talking about
Right, right. I asked her specifically if she was doing anything on this lot, and I referenced right across the street that she is doing something on another lot that's owned by the city.
Yes, sir.
And it's just a concern of mine that we're doing things as if there are no consequences to it. There's no worries about it. We can do what we want, when we want, how we want. And that message resonates to people outside of this city who come into this city and they think they can do the same thing.
Still this man.
They think that they can have the same privilege and the same leeway as you. And I'm concerned about that. It's been 8 years. Okay. Maybe it should be possible before you purchase this particular lot in which you're trying to get now. Maybe you can close out the one in which you're on now, and we can put that to bed and get that off of the city's back. And the worry of us being sued over somebody being injured or hurt on that particular piece of land because you're operating an entire entity on that land. If anybody gets hurt there, we're paying the price for it. It's not Avalon Village. Avalon Village hands are washed clean of this. It's on us.
Can you show me
So-
which piece
so,
of property that you had a garden on, Mr.
So that lot that's in question, we did misplace that application.
Okay.
So she just redid it and it did just come in. So
Okay.
it was something on the we was looking for it, like even before my tenure, not to, put it aside, but I could not find that application. It's something that
Okay.
the city has been like, hey, we got to come up with that application, for the same concerns. So it's something that the administration has been talking about, closing that out as well.
Yeah,
Because even when this came in, that's why I was like, well, just do a new one.
Yeah.
Because
I got no beef. I got no problem with what Avalon Village is doing. I just like anybody else in this city, we can't operate like we're immune to following the rules, as Ms. Manica said.
Yeah.
I would like for us to close this one out
That's fine.
before we approve this lot right here in this application.
So
I need that closed out. I need the city to be off the hook for that particular lot. So we need to close that out.
So what we'll do, the CD department will do is we'll bring the, I think it's 51, 50, whatever that one is, we'll bring that before we bring the 82 back.
Yeah.
That's 79 Avalon? What is the other lot?
55.
55.
It's right across the street on the other side.
Oh, you mean, but it's down.
Right. It
It's
is.
not
It
directly
is.
across,
Right.
it's just on the other
Right.
side of the street.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I said, matter of fact, the folder just got to my desk today because
Okay.
we do our due diligence. We take it through because one thing about the Avalon Village is they are paying taxes. So it's a nonprofit, but they're paying taxes on the property. So we had to take it through, make sure all the water bills were being paid, all the taxes being paid. So it's a little bit of a process. So it did she turned it in.
Yeah.
We went through the administrative review and it got to my desk today.
Yeah.
So we'll bring that before.
Yeah. It will be easier for me to vote on this one here and we can close that one out first.
No problem.
Get that off the city.
No problem.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? You're on it, you're operating, you have a beautiful solar light on it. Let's close it out.
Okay, yes, sir.
That's all I'm asking. Let's
No
just
problem.
close that out. And then I would be more than willing to consider this one here.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. And I yield back, Council President.
Ms. Manica?
I was trying to see if Ms. Robinson had. So make sure you just do it with all of it, make sure that everything that you're operating on, taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Director Clapper?
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the only item that we have for us to address during the workshop. There's a section here for good and welfare. I'll go do a round of good. Mr. Melshaw, you have anything for good and welfare?
The only thing I have, we're not doing item 1, the City of Highland Park tax exempt ordinance.
No, they couldn't make.
Okay. Then no, sir, I have nothing for good and welfare.
Ms. Manica for good and welfare?
I do, since it was brought up about the ordinance, and so that was a piece that I was trying to point to, is that we worked on so many other things that we probably shouldn't even really working on right now or caring about. And we haven't addressed the ordinance that we have. We haven't addressed how to put some more teeth in them or sit down. I hear you referring, I don't know if I heard Mr. Shanti as well, but I heard the reference to the fence. Well, that's been there forever. We just don't enforce it. But here's the thing, the ordinance you said kind of new ones, I don't remember changing.
Yeah, you didn't change, it was changed in 18. It wasn't, so the fence is not required.
So we need to see that, because what we have, I said, well, we're required.
One is either 2810 or 2811.
So here we are again, Mr. Crabbe, here we are again, that you don't want, maybe not you, but people don't want the council to fuss. But if we don't have it, because we started out a whole year talking about a fence.
I provided you all the ordinances that was in the beginning of the book. So you have to.
And we were given that, so what I'm saying is, if it wasn't said, okay, well, we changed ordinance, I know you did, but I'm saying, it wasn't said to us, what we were given. It's supposed to be ordinance that are already in effect. It wasn't supposed to be that you're gonna give us a new one when you come along.
No, I didn't. I didn't get make sure you had it. I don't know which one. So I wanted to make sure you had everything. I didn't even know, so I did some research on the fence, and that's an old ordinance, but I didn't know where it came from. Two oh eight ten and 211 doesn't have it. That was like a 20810 or 11 that had it. But the new one that was done in 18 doesn't have it, and that's the one that you meant. We didn't change anything, I just gave you the.
Okay, so council, president,
Yes, ma'am.
here I am again saying that we can't afford something that we don't know. That we don't know what we don't know. I don't know if it's right. I don't know it, I don't know how am I gonna fix it? So now, I feel like we're being told that the ordinance book that I have, it's gotta be for 4 people. It's not gonna have all the accurate stuff in it. So that means we just need to stop. I hate to say it, but we need to stop everything right now. And go through the ordinance book of stuff that's gonna be real pertinent to right now. Because my next question will be, if these people have not done the things that we know that should happen when they purchase property, then, because there is a reversion clause in some of it. So it needs to happen, or they need to be ticketed, or we need to get some company that's able to help them to do what was asked about having a fence. And some people did. And so I think that we're taking the cart before the horse. And when we continue to do that, there's a dog ordinance. And all I see is pit bulls. There's an ordinance that says how many you can breed. You can breed, at least I thought, in Highland Park. But it's a certain number. So until we go and say, okay, dog ordinance, pet ordinance is something we should look at. Housing ordinance is something we should look at. Lot ordinance is something we should look at. We shouldn't be giving away or selling it. Because we have 2 different ideals. CED has one and we have something different. So that's not making sense. All we doing is spinning our wheels. And I'm personally tired of spinning my wheels. I don't have time. And so either we're gonna stop, and I understand there's a need. We do have a need, but what's happening is that need, it's just, we can't fulfill that need. No matter what you do, if we don't have the rest of it together and right, you can't fulfill the need. Because now you're coming into some other issues, some other problems. Unfortunately, if you're on a property, does that mean, and this was asked of me, does that mean we have to go back and make you pay? Or is it just our mess up and we gotta start from where we are? At some point, we gotta get it right. And right now I feel like I already felt like we need to stop. Stop selling, stop trying to just spread out there and see what's wrong. Because I'm thinking people still we haven't said. I see people walking on the grass. So they had to get it this year.
Ma'am, please.
You know, I hope everybody understands what I'm saying.
I do.
Not trying to be difficult to anyone,
I do.
but if I think that every person who purchased a lot is supposed to have a fence in 6 months. And some people did it because that's what they were told the first year we were in. So it's either one or the other. Now, it's still a good thing if you got some fence. It is, because you know it's yours. You know, and you make it beautiful. But we also have some people that own some stuff in this city, and it looks like crap. Or we should have some orders that say they should be taking care of their property. They should be taking care of their rental people in their property. And I don't want to keep going on. I mean, we can stop at any time, but that's just what I feel right there. Because we haven't did the dog thing. How many dogs? Now we have what, 10 courses? I don't know if that's the right terminology. I don't come to Highland Park. I get to do whatever I want in Highland Park. Ain't nobody paying attention. Or they not, ain't enforcing. They didn't tell me. We gotta start giving out the information. We gotta start giving out some right information. Just gotta be right, guys. It would cut down a lot of our arguments. I guarantee.
Anything further, ma'am?
No, I don't.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem, you have anything for good and welfare?
I don't think.
Okay, Ms. Manica, thank you so much for sharing. What you guys don't know is that me and Ms. Manica had these type of conversations 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes in front of my house, sometimes on the cell phone. We're involved in a tug of war, and we're not on the opposite side. We're actually pulling on the same side. We are both looking for prosperity in this city. And I'll make this blanket statement to people in the room and to my colleagues sitting here. For any job you've ever had, there were minimum requirements. I don't care what it is. If you worked at Popeyes, if you worked at the Dairy Queen, there were minimum requirements. But to be an elected official, there are no minimal requirements. That is unfair because you're put into situations where you're supposed to know about things that may be outside of your scope of knowledge. And on the city of Detroit, they have full staffs. So if I was a city council person in the city of Detroit, I could put 5 or 6 people on task and say, can you uncover this information about this thing? Can you look into this for me? Can you bring me back a brief so that I could get with my entire staff and we could whiteboard this issue? And we could, as a group, get a collective understanding of what we need to know, and we could find out the things that we don't need to know. That we need to know and the things that we don't know. The challenges that we have in the city of Highland Park is that we are understaffed. We're understaffed, and it is incumbent upon the elected official to go out and seek the knowledge. So that means each of us has to go out and seek the knowledge necessary to fulfill this role. So if it is something about policing, then we need to go find out something about policing. If it's something about the fire department, we need to find out about it. If it's something about housing, it's our requirement to go and uncover that knowledge about housing. If it's something about community and economic development, it is incumbent upon us to go out and uncover that knowledge, or else we will still be underserved in these roles. And that's the reality that we're facing. Here we are making decisions about community and economic development issues when everybody on city council cannot say that they've got a mortgage before. Everybody on city council cannot say they purchased a house before. Everybody on city council cannot say that they've completely remodeled a house before. My councilwoman is completely remodeling her house. I don't know what that's like, but she's talked to me about it, and it's a bit disconcerting. I replaced 40 some odd windows on my house. She's had to replace all of hers. I replaced the roof on my house. She's had to replace the roof on hers. That is a commonality. If you've never had to do it, then you don't really know what it involves. And so when you're asked to make decisions about things you have no practical experience about, no real superlative knowledge, it creates a challenge. We're assuming things. Now, our ordinance book is the size of 2 phone books put together. Okay. I do a lot of reading, most of it that I don't enjoy, but to be able to sit down at the ordinance book, which is as thick as 2 bricks, and to be able to go through that legal jargon, is going to take a lot of time. And the assumption that we have to make is there are things in the language that we will need to get additional assistance on and clarifying what the meaning of those words are. So simple as if, then, they, shall, will, does, maybe, insists. Things like that, those words, when you add them to the context of a conversation, can completely change the meaning of those sentences in the ordinances. So here we are, novice. You're a novice until you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, okay? You're a novice in government until you've been going through ordinances and taking those things apart. We have not been able to, as a body, sit down as a cohesive group and objectively go through any documents as individuals, all motivated by our own conscience, and not coming here with marching orders or with concerns of special interest, even if those special interests is just your neighbor next door. So the challenges that we're going to face moving forward is I keep saying we don't know what we don't know, as not to accuse anybody of lacking knowledge. But if you don't know, there's a component necessary for your understanding. Then how can you truly understand? Now, for us to stop, here we are as a city. The only thing that's going to change our financial trajectory is if we get this property, of which the city owns 51% of the property in town. We are suffering because there's a lack of economic activity in the city, and there are properties, more of the properties owned by the city than actually owned by potential taxpayers. So as long as that is the constant, the city is never going to move forward. To shut down, it would be like we're basically shoveling water out of a boat that's sinking, and if we stop, the boat sinks. So I agree that there is still a lot that needs to be sorted out to make it easier for us. But I think in situations where the person that is coming forward to make this purchase is, and I would describe them as an incumbent, they've been here before, they've been maintaining these properties, they've invested in the city, they haven't left, you can find them, they appear in chambers on a regular basis. When we have those long-standing citizens that are trying to purchase a side lot, I think it is incumbent upon us as a city to get these side lots disposed of and then move on to a scenario where we can talk about infill housing after we have looked after the citizens who are, again, this is the second poorest city in the state per capita. The median income is $28,000. That's just, it is what it is. I don't want to pretend, I don't want to forget my neighbor that make $17,000 a year. Let's not pretend that they are the majority here. We have to look out for the people who make the least. And if we don't recognize that this city is populated with a lot of people that make less than $20,000 a year, we're going to hurt them, not the people who are making the median income, which is $54,000 a year. That's the median income for America. And our citizens make half of that. So we need to think about them first. Most of our senior citizens are they're on a fixed income. They make $1,200 a month, $1,600 a month from Social Security. That is low income. That is low income. It's 5 to 10% of our population that are making above the median income, $72,000 or more. And if you're in that group, cool. But everybody else is not. So let's not forget them. Let's make sure we talk about the major demographic. Our demographic are single, poor African-American women who are making somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 a year, either working hard at jobs or receiving money from the state. Let's not, out of pride, let's not forget that that is our major demographic. Let's start gearing our conversations toward our major demographic because there's no place else for them to go. This is it. So if we don't start gearing our conversations to our major demographic, where are they going to go? Where are these single moms going to go? Making less than $30,000 a year. So we have to talk about them. We have to put them front and center. If we don't, we're doing them a disservice. Because the people who make 6 figures and above, they can get up and move anytime they want to. The people who make less than that, they can't. And over 5,000 people in our city are seniors. That's almost half the population. Many of them are on Social Security or on a pension. And those pensions don't top out above $35,000, $40,000 a year. Unless maybe you worked in forest for 40 years, who knows? So we have to talk about the real demographic here. And it is not disparaging to be honest about our city and to say that we're poor. We get assistance, way more assistance than a lot of other cities on a per capita basis. And we need to include those people in the conversation and dispose of this land like we're talking about poor folks, because ain't nowhere else for them to go. And if we forget them, we're doing them a disservice. Those are the people who voted for all of us, the poor folk. So I have to speak up for them. I have to think about them when I'm making decisions here. I have to make decisions as if the decision that I'm making will affect the majority of the population, not the 20% of the population that's making $60,000 or more. Y'all got to go look at the numbers. Go look at the census. It'll make you bristle. It's very uncomfortable to see the reality. And I do appreciate, Ms. Manica, the fact that we have been working very diligently on this, and maybe we're gonna have to get a cup of coffee and go somewhere and look through this and get the highlighter out, because you make a valid point, but we have to, in my opinion, we have to move this side lot situation forward, because if we don't move this side lot situation forward, when it's time for big money to come in here, they're gonna come in here like gangbusters and they're gonna bust down these poor folks. So let's look after them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna declare the meeting adjourned at 6:50 so we can take a small break between the next, our regular scheduled city council meeting. So Madam Clerk, I'll declare the meeting adjourned at 6:50. Thank you very much.